Ezra Levant, sometimes it's hard to tell if this conservative journalist is completely ignorant of what he's doing or he's just simply in denial of it. Now, all of this dates back to when he told the head of Chiquita Banana, Chinga tu madre, because he didn't want to use Alberta tar sands, oil sands, whatever, because he felt that there was an ethical conflict with him. Frankly, the head of Chiquita claiming an ethical conflict is effing ridiculous considering what they did to Latin America through the last couple decades. But regardless of that fact, Ezra Levant told him Chinga tu madre, which means go F your mother. Now, of course, aside from this being a very childish counterpoint to the argument put forth by the head of Chiquita, he got in trouble for it. The Canadian Broadcast Standards Council is a regulatory body set up privately. It's not really all that much to do with the government. It's a voluntary organization which channels, television broadcast people don't have to join. They join it voluntarily, and it's a self-regulation of the industry, which, unlike most self-regulation, actually works fairly well. Now, see, the problem is Ezra Levant doesn't think that he should be regulated by this body. The problem is Sun News Network voluntarily joined this. When you join it, you sign a document saying that you're going to follow the broadcast standards that all these organizations who have formed it have set down. You're going to follow it, and you subject yourself to judgment when you break them, or they suspect you of having broken them. Now, he feels that he shouldn't have to be judged by them, even though Sun News Network is actually a part of that council. Now, he claims, and he was speaking with the head of Global TV right there in the studio, arguing with him over this, saying how they were forced to join, which is completely untrue. He was saying in a contract the CRTC forces you to be a part of it, which is completely not true. We did have it, as the guy from Global adequately pointed out, there was a channel we have called Much Music, which is basically the Canadian version of MTV, except Much Music still plays music videos. And they, for the longest time, were not actually a part of it. They felt that the nature of being a music video channel wasn't the same thing as other channels which produced entertainment, news, and what have you. Eventually they did go along with it, but the point is, it's not compulsory to be a part of the regulatory body. It's completely optional. Sun News Network agreed to be part of it. Sun News Network pays out money to be a part of it. They help fund it as well as being a part of it, and it gives them the ability to judge others as well. Now, Levant was being completely dishonest when he was saying that it was mandatory. It was not mandatory. He was doing it in order to make himself out to be the victim. Did he really not know that it's voluntary, or was he just saying that to try to cover his ass? Well, see, that's what we don't know. Is he really ignorant about it? Or is he in denial? Or is he creating something to cover himself? See, I can't tell because he does this so much. Now, he was complaining that he was being judged by his competitors. There are other networks, the whole council is made up of other networks, and they all collectively judge on incidences like this. Now, he's saying it's unfair that his channel should be judged by his competitors. The guy who owns Global is one of the judges on the panel, and also he is a journalist himself. Now he's saying, like, well, by day you get to be a journalist, and at night you get to judge other people. You get to judge your competition. You get to decide what your competition gets to say, which is, while factually correct, it's not giving out the whole story. Everybody in there judges. Sun News Network has somebody who also does judging, and as logic would dictate, someone can't judge unwillingly. If one channel does something that's objectionable and gets brought before the Standards Council, they themselves cannot vote or on their own alleged infraction. The same goes. Sun Media has a person on there who can judge others as well. So this is, relatively speaking, within how any tribunal can be, is fair. Others can judge you, and you can judge others. You're not allowed to judge yourself. makes sense. But he's made it out as though he's the victim of this whole thing and that people are unjustly judging him and that they have no right to be doing so, while completely ignoring and repeatedly denying the fact that he is on a network that has voluntarily joined it and can leave at any time. They don't have to be a part of the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. He doesn't have to be a part of it. He can leave at any time that he wishes. Or not him, the Sun News Network. So they've voluntarily subjected themselves to this regulation and then are complaining that they shouldn't be regulated. Although, to be fair, I have actually only heard Levant himself actually complain about this regulation. It's an incident where he has done something wrong, feels that Sun News has the right to judge others who do the same thing, who do similar incidences, but nobody has the right to judge them. Now, in order to try to prove that somehow Global or Shaw or what have you are hypocrites, he put up several clips from the Trailer Park Boys, several close second clips of people just swearing, hyper-focusing on the swearing of the entire Trailer Park Boys series. Now, there is a great deal of swearing, there's drugs, there's guns, there's stealing, all kinds of criminal behavior. It says that this somehow makes Global hypocrites for putting out a program like this while trying to stand up and saying that Levant shouldn't have told some guy to go F his mother. See, now the problem is that Levant either doesn't understand or is refusing to acknowledge is the fact. One is a comedy program, the other is supposed to be journalism. Sun News Network, news, it is supposed to be journalism. You can't hold that to the same comparison as a comedy show. Although Levant keeps trying to do that. Why does Levant feel that Sun News is the same thing as a comedy show? Well, you can't do that. Essentially, he's almost claiming that his own show is a comedy show. And there could be an argument for that. However, they're not the same thing. One is the journalistic work. One is an act of theater for comedy. So that is not a hypocrisy. We're talking in this specific situation, journalistic standards. Should journalists go around telling people to F their mothers? No. That's completely unprofessional and just, well, lowering discourse to a point that's Fox News, which would actually be a good comparison for Sun News Network. It does try to be Fox News, in my opinion. In the opinion of a great many people, it is very much the same thing as Fox News. The same vitriolic, name-calling, fact-twisting, or just completely devoid of fact broadcasting. Now, one of the main differences is that Trailer Park Boys is a comedy show intended to entertain people. Levant attacked somebody by telling them to go after their mother. If he really can't see, he can't see the difference between these two things, between attacking somebody on air and making a comedy show. Seemingly, he doesn't seem to know the difference. And this is, again, the question. Is he completely ignorant of what he's done? Or is he just in denial to try to save his own ass? If he keeps insisting that he has not done anything wrong, then he hasn't done anything wrong, and he's making himself out to be this kind of martyr. Oh, I've been censored, and other stations shouldn't have the right to tell me what I can say on this network. Well, they're not saying that you can't say anything. They're saying that you're insulting someone was wrong. And it is. It's downright childish, actually. No one is saying you can't criticize the government. He can't criticize somebody for not making the choice that he would make, although that does seem to go against the free market capitalist principle, the capitalist principle in general, of that you can't tell other people what to do with their money. Of course, he's not really telling him what to do with his money. He's criticizing him for it. And he has the right to criticize anybody for what they do with their money. Unless, of course, somebody does it to a capitalist, and then you're trying to tell them what to do with their money, and that you shouldn't be allowed to do that. It's a weird, hypocritical stance kind of thing. Now, the funny thing was, he's trying to make himself out to be a martyr, like he was being persecuted for his views. He was being persecuted for saying something that other people don't like, and that he was being censored and attacked. I mean, to actually really compare himself to people around the world that are censored in Bahrain and Qatar and Egypt during the Arab Spring, and to compare himself to people in journalism that's censored in China, and to even compare himself to people like Julian Assange, probably one of the most prolific journalists, who will probably go down in history as one of the most prolific journalists of all time, just for the sheer magnitude of what he has done. And for him to even, on some level, suggest that his telling somebody to go F their mother because he doesn't like their position, as the same thing as Julian Assange, who's, well, basically thrown his life away in order to expose war crimes that were happening, is insane. To actually, on some level, compare these two things is ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. To get angry because you're regulated by a body that was voluntarily joined, in which that network has the same power to judge other people and is not mandatory, turn around, get angry for being in trouble, for telling someone to go F themselves, trying to claim that's freedom of speech, and to claim that that's journalism, and then turn around and compare it to a comedy show as being the same thing, thus implying that your own show is a comedy show, and then to turn around and claim like you're the victim, like you're some kind of Julian Assange or some heroic dissident in the Middle East, some heroic dissident journalist in the Middle East, is absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely insane. That would be like if I said something that violated the YouTube terms of service and then turned around and said, oh, YouTube censoring me, I'm a heroic dissident, I should be compensated, put me on a pedestal, please, because I'm a hero of free speech. That's insane. Like if I was bullying someone online and then claiming that my being censored by bullying someone online was somehow an infringement of my freedom of speech. It's absolutely insane. It seems, does Ezra Levant really not know what he's doing is wrong? Or is he just denying that it is for the sake of making himself out to be a martyr and a victim of censorship?